Hello, my name is Richie Etwaru, and I'm here with the great John Nosta. We are going to hack the future. The way this is going to work is I'm going to ask him 10 questions that he's not seen before, and he's going to ask me 10 questions that I've not seen before, and then we have 10 seconds to answer. No stopping, no second takes. John, let's go.
Okay.
Which industry is going to commercialize artificial intelligence? Which do you think of the verticals is going to be the first thing that delivers artificial intelligence in value to us? Go.
Okay. Gaming. I think the gaming industry is going to allow us to build avatars, to begin virtual reality that allows us to build that sort of that intellectual equity. IBM Watson and health will follow. Gaming first.
Go.
All right. What fitness or health device do you use?
I started with the Lark. I was one of those guys that wore the Lark very early. Now I wore the Fitbit for 6 months and I stopped wearing it. The bottom line is the wearables are not working for me. They're getting in my way. We're going to have to figure out a better way. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Ready? What are your thoughts on implantables? So we just talked about wearables. Where do you think implantables are? These things have to really go into our body, or does that freak you out?
No, it doesn't freak me out. But number one, it's not an implantable. It's a dermal. We have to move away from that language, but that's freaking people out. It's a dermal that's going to go on your skin, or it's a swallowable that we're going to swallow. So the route with which it gets into your body is going to be a key differentiator.
You heard it right here on Hacking the Future. He said swallowable. Go.
You know, with respect to devices, would you share information on a device if you're at the gym with a stranger? And I'm going to introduce a new concept. STDs, social transmitted diseases.
You know, I think that's an interesting question. It's really about value. People share information all the time without value creating too much risk for them. If I can get value back from the information that's sharing, yes, then I start to not think about the risk. But what I don't understand is people who share willfully without getting value from it and not understanding the risk.
Good.
Okay, let's talk attention spans. How short is our attention spans going to become? Right now, we have, what, 6-second videos on Vine. We are running 10-second answers here. What happens to our attention span over time? Think out, hundreds of thousands of years. Where are we going?
What was the question again? All right, hold on. I think that we're going to see an actual evolution of consciousness where we have compartmentalized consciousness with dual awareness. I think we'll be able to do more things at once. So looking at a conventional human level of consciousness today is the wrong way to frame the question.
Fantastic. Go.
Give me the percent influence of patients versus doctors for the for the adoption of a device. For example, for Kinza or Scanadu, how much influence is going to come from the physician and how much influence is going to come from the patient to drive adoption?
God, I don't think the physician has any influence in something like that. I think this is a completely patient-driven revolution. Let's put it this way. Kinza is a thermometer that is now electronically connected to an iPhone where it was approved and a part of the app is it. You didn't have to get a doctor's permission to buy a thermometer. You bought it. That was a patient decision. So I think this is all patient-driven. Ready?
Yep.
What do you think will be the biggest innovation in life sciences? And do you think we're going to get to the point where we innovate ourselves completely out of existence? I mean, why can't we just get rid of sickness? Why do we still have it?
I think that the interesting point is it's no longer going to be sickness as a disease, but sickness as a distraction. It's going to be, I think that we're going to be able to evolve to something like a flat tire. See, when I have a flat tire, my car isn't sick. I get it changed. Similarly, disease will be a thing that I could get fixed like a flat tire.
So it's about the actual servicing of it.
Servicing of it, yes.
Go.
So what industry outside of life sciences offers us the greatest opportunity to learn? Picasso said good artists borrow, great artists steal. Who should we steal from?
Financial services. You got to take a look at how things that were once very difficult to attain as not a very wealthy person was actually democratized into the masses. We got to think about the stack of healthcare, the things that are very expensive. We got to be able to move that down all the way down to people that couldn't have afforded it in the past. And financial services does that better than anybody else. Cool. What do you think about the labor deficit that is being predicted 2 to 3 generations ahead? I think we're looking at 100 million people, or a couple of 100 million people, that are going to be deficit in the world for labor because we're not procreating enough. We're not having enough sex, or at least we're not having enough kids. What do you think about that?
2 points. One, we're not having enough robots. Okay, so that's number one. So I would push the babies aside. But I think it's not a birth deficit, but a training deficit. We have to rethink the way we educate our kids and give them a new perspective on what they're going to do when they grow up.
Absolutely. Go.
Will a traditional pharmaceutical rep be replaced by that type of artificial intelligence or a robot?
Absolutely. I think we're seeing a situation here where we've gone from the Industrial Revolution, okay, and we've taken tons of manual workers and we've made them knowledge workers. And that was fantastic. That was Peter Drucker. We now have knowledge workers that are modern manual workers. They're doing automated systematic tasks. We're going to see artificial intelligence automate a significant amount of mundane crap that people are doing that we call knowledge workers, and we're going to move to visionary workers.
Cool. Okay.
RoboCop. It's being made. Okay. We saw Google purchase Boston Robotics, I think. Okay. How do you feel about the fact that most of the robotics innovation that's going on is in warfare and law enforcement, not in a robot that helps me do something really pink and fluffy, but kind of like these scary things? How does that make you feel?
It doesn't bother me. Why do people rob banks? Because that's where the money is. And you look at defense, that's where the dollars are. I think it's a great idea. Let's have robot prison guards and use a felon population to test out new technology.
Go.
HIPAA. Everybody knows about HIPAA. HIPAA is an old set of rulings, so little laws. Do we need to rewrite HIPAA in the context of the technological revolution?
Absolutely. Needing to rewriting it and having it be rewritten are two completely different things. The fact is, over time, as a civilization and as a country, we've seen that as the citizen population moves their needs, the regulators have to catch up. Now, regulators are not always ahead. Most of the time, they're behind. The onus is on us to go out and have constructive dialogues with the regulators and articulate what's working and what's not working. Throwing out the whole thing doesn't work. There are some parts that are really good, but we have to be able to articulate that to the folks that can help us.
Good. Shoot.
Singularity.
Yep.
Probably the most interesting thing that's going on today. Okay? So it's the construct that we're going to make computers so smart, and then we're going to blend ourselves with them. We're making progress, making computers really smart, but we're not making enough progress connecting my analog brain to this really smart digital computer. It's not happening as yet. I see it as landing at a plurality, where potentially the computer gets really smart on us and we're not connected in. How does that make you feel?
I think that most people, when they think of singularity, they look at that curve, that asymptotic curve that is smooth. The way to look at it is it's not smooth. It's going to level off. It may even go backwards in certain instances. Singularity is about 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and the 1 step we have to manage.
Fantastic. Go.
One of the biggest leaps, I think, is going to be the telemedicine. That's going to be a game changer in the sense that we receive and divvy out care. What are some of the obstacles or barriers that you see to the adoption of digital health and digital medicine?
You got to think about the medical experience very, very differently. When we do a conference call on GoToMeeting.com, the channel is simply the slides, the conversation, and the video. In the medical context, there are multiple channels that facilitate that engagement. You got to measure the person's body, you have to collect things from them, etc. What is going to accelerate telemedicine is if I can figure out a way to measure my body by myself and then in a secure and trusted way get that information to the doctor so that he or she can look at it before the telemedicine call, right? So telemedicine itself doesn't really solve for it. You've got to be able to solve for that other part as well.
Excellent.
Ready?
Yep, go.
Japan files multiple times more patent in the United States than the entire state of California. It's insane the types of acceleration that we're seeing on patent filing, both from the amount that we file and how many people are filing here in the United States of America. Isn't it time we taught our kids in school about patents and intellectual property?
You know, no, I don't think so. I think we have to go back to the fundamentals. We teach our kids about innovation, and we teach them that capitalist spirit, that I can create an idea, I can own it, and I can elevate my standard of living. With that comes the idea of patents. I think that's putting the cart before the horse.
Let's go.
Beyond the MD, who are some of the other medical professionals, the caregivers, who are going to benefit from the evolution of patient care and digital health?
Look, I think thinking about the providers benefiting is simply an economic equation. At the end of the day, it's really patients that are going to benefit. There is a secondary beneficiary, which I think is the payer. The way I look at it today, the payer is about to become the rock star in the healthcare industry. We're going from big pharma to big payer. This is not from big pharma to big patient.
Cool. Go.
Microtasks.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got this concept of smart sourcing. You see Elance, TaskRabbit, 5R, this whole construct of everyone can do things and we bid and you know, you don't really have to work for anyone anymore. Everyone's a freelancer.
Right.
Okay? Are we moving back to a trend where everyone has their own business and we're simply bartering services with each other? Do you see that as a macro move?
I think to a certain degree I do, because you no longer know the size of the vendor in a retail market. I go online and I don't know if it's 1,000 employees or one. So that's really part of the democratization of our economy today. So I don't know if it's big, I don't know if it's small. All I know is if it's good.
Fantastic. Go.
Okay. Who are some of the visionaries outside of the traditional life science industry that you look at as fodder for intellectual growth and development?
I don't subscribe to that. Anyone who calls himself an expert is subscribing to a fact that knowledge is in a fixed state. I don't think that anyone ever becomes an expert. You constantly got to be chasing the next thing. The future is not found or figured out. It's created.
Really? So you're not looking back?
Nope.
Good.
Journalism is being democratized. More and more, I'm seeing, you know, 10 best ways to use toilet paper.
Yep.
Like that's where we're going today. How do we prevent mankind from consuming that as valuable knowledge and get us to a point where we're looking at proper journalism?
All right, here's my big idea for the day. It's called filtering. Google filters information according to a variety of algorithms. What about if we had a personal algorithm that allowed us to filter information so that it uniquely suits our needs? We can dial up competence, we can dial up validation, we can dial up a variety of issues, but I think that the Google search phenomenon in the future is going to be exclusively personalized to you and to me.
We have that. It's called the NSA. Go.
Bingo. All right, what's going to come first, the driverless car or the doctorless office?
The driverless car is already here. The bottom line is, will we allow the car to drive by itself, or are we still going to be sitting inside of the car? Right? So I think the Mercedes-Benz S-Class that just came out literally drives itself, but you still have to sit in the car.
Right.
I think the regulatory landscape is going to dictate this. It's not going to be an adoption issue. If the regulators change the fact that we can have the cars drive themselves without actually controlling it, you'll see an adoption there. The doctorless office, I think we know that's going there.
Time's
Fantastic.
up.
20
All
questions.
Right. Excellent.
You've been watching an episode of Hack the Future. I'm Richie Etwaru. This is John Nosta. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.